We're continuing with the weekly Draw With Me's. Thank you for being here. Today I'm drawing this really cool Dragon Age character that was commissioned by one of my lovely patrons. I know some of you guys enjoy the Dragon Age series, and if you do, you should yell about it in the comment section with me. Please and thank you. It would actually be a nice breath of fresh air after the truly awful week I've had. Between the tariffs affecting my Patreon, making my merch tier take a massive hit from the shipping fees, and a video essay of mine getting scrapped before I could even edit it, I've been feeling particularly off, to say the least. I think social media has really infected people with the idea that we no longer need compassion in society. I had this whole project planned out and did a bunch of research on the topic of speculative work and art competitions. You might already know what I'm talking about here. However, as much as I feel very strongly about certain things, I don't feel safe publishing the video in any shape or form. Anytime I bring up the subject of artist exploitation surrounding this celebrity or influencer or whatever they're considered, I get tons of comments ranging from L take to I should have my right to free speech taken away, and it's the last one that really makes me feel uncomfortable, especially in this economic climate. Celebrity worship and the way we interact with each other on social media is bad. We often forget that the person on the other side of our screen is a real living being, myself included, and I've been trying to simply block or hide anything or anyone inflammatory rather than respond. What I do feel comfortable saying on this particular topic is this. Art competitions, specifically where the person running it is using the art for commercial purposes, are exploitative in my opinion. Nobody should do work for a corporation or a company or a celebrity for the hopes of maybe being paid by them. You should create fan art for free or sell it as merch or do whatever you want within intellectual copyright laws. And then do work in the form of art for people who will actually pay you. No maybes, no potentially you will get paid once we see the work, no competition, just a guarantee that your bills will be paid. Exposure is nice, but not a given, and it doesn't feed you either. Those companies, celebrities, and influencers should simply find an artist and pay them. In fact, they should pay them a lot more than what that influencer was paying, but what do I know? I'm simply some disembodied voice that people listen to sometimes. There are more examples in my video essay than just the person I was mainly talking about that I do feel comfortable more or less exposing, since people aren't rabid over them, for lack of a better term. Those companies are Behavior Interactive, Game Informer, and Upcrate. For those of you who don't know, Behavior Interactive is the team behind Dead by Daylight, a popular horror-based competitive video game. It's like Overwatch or Marvel Rivals in that you can buy skins and other cosmetics, and Behavior once held a competition to get a skin that artists designed in the game. And what I mean by artists is just an artist from the internet, somebody that drew something for Behavior Interactive, and not somebody that was already on the team. Only Behavior Interactive didn't offer actual money as the prize. It was $200 in RXLs, their in-game currency. I hope we can all agree that's not fair compensation for a full character sheet and the rights for Behavior to continue getting money from the skin, which is a problem in all of these situations, is that if these companies make money after the fact, the artist doesn't get to see any of that money. They have essentially sold the rights to that skin, in this case, for $200 in-game currency and like free will or whatever, but it sucks. And also in Behavior Interactive's case, you do have to pay real money to get most, if not all, of the cosmetics in Dead by Daylight. So they are making money off of that artist's design. So that sucks. And as far as I know, they haven't hosted a competition like this since, probably because Dead by Daylight came out in 2016 and their user base has moved on. Or they just got a lot of backlash from the competition. I'm honestly not sure. I couldn't actually find any mention of the contest on Behavior Interactive's actual website. I only saw it on like Instagram and various social media pages, and they also have a page dedicated to saying what the rules are, but That's it. One of the other companies I mentioned, Upcrate, is a weird one for sure. The only reason I know about it is that my husband, the Coffee Rain, won their art competition, or art battle as Upcrate calls it, a few months ago, with this painting of some adorable chickens. Upcrate is one of those subscription box companies, but for artists to get art supplies that normally cost an arm and a leg. They got funded through a Kickstarter some years ago. Apparently a lot of people were pretty excited about it. We did some in-depth research into the company itself after my husband poked and prodded them for a couple weeks about the prize, or price as it's stated in their magazine, that he was supposed to get for winning said battle. Allegedly, they're listed as having an address in a tax haven, which is a great way for companies to get away with tax evasion or paying very little in actual taxes. It's not really a great business practice, I'll be honest. They have sponsored some YouTubers in the past and don't really have a limit as to who can be one either. That's not a bad thing, but I wouldn't trust a majority of the reviews you'll find on YouTube or other platforms. They're mostly paid for. And you can tell because they'll include coupons or percentages off in their description for the boxes you can get from Upcrate. We did end up getting something from Upcrate after bothering them about the prize, so they did technically fulfill the promise of sending out a product, but everyone that my husband asked who had participated in the contest said that they never got anything. So if you do participate in Upcrate's contest, just know you'll probably not get something in return, and they're, in my non-professional opinion, using any artist of any size social media following as free advertising. The third company, Game Informer, is a bit of a niche one and a weird one too. They have this TOS on their art competition that states all art sent in to Game Informer belongs to them, and they can do whatever they want with it. So obviously it's smart not to send your originals into them. Yet, Game Informer only picks a handful of winners every month to highlight in their magazine, and you can also send them the art digitally, so there's no reason not to send that art back, especially if they just email it to Game Informer. So maybe it's for legal reasons, maybe they're just covering themselves and having to say that the art belongs to them after you send it in, but they are also notorious for having lackluster rewards in regards to the winners of the competitions. All I found were anecdotes about people who won, and I had used it as an example for weird things companies do that skirt around copyright law for seemingly no reason. Game Informer legally can't do anything with the art that's sent in. It's all fan art for video games, so unless they're feeding it to some generative AI algorithm or storing it in a vault for fun, I don't know why they have the TOS stating this. If anyone more knowledgeable than me can tell me why, feel free to comment it down below. Anyway, the whole video essay I had made was going to advocate for artists' rights and for people to understand the difference between commercial artwork and fan art, as well as point out that speculative work is inherently harmful. But when it comes to a beloved influencer doing it and the fact that the general audience worships companies, I didn't want to get self-deletion comments, if you get my drift. So I guess all I ask is that you're compassionate towards artists and you understand that we should be paid fairly, and you should definitely take a lesson out of this influencer's books, so to speak, and support artists. Don't support generative AI, and definitely support artists of marginalized communities. That's what you should be taking away from this. Social media is awful, and we have to use it to create a career for ourselves as makers and enjoyers of art. I think what I'll do instead of this exploitation topic is probably make a video about how isolated and sort of mean everyone is because of the anonymity of the internet, and how that feeds into a lot of people's needs to return to like a 2012 Tumblr era where everyone was saying their thoughts out loud. It was sort of cringe then, but I really miss when people were saying delightfully unhinged or really kind things in the tags of my Dragon Age fan art 10 years ago. And I really also miss Ask blogs. And now, this is the part where I'll be introducing a new section to my Draw With Me's, which is where I highlight artists of varying marginalized groups and urge you to go support them in whatever ways possible. LG Veldenmeyer is a super cool comic and illustration artist who draws people's OCs so beautifully. I could sit here and admire this orc man for hours, I think. They have a comic about LGBTQ+ priests that I think anyone that's of an adult age should go check out. And they're also having to move quite suddenly, so you should give them lots of love in these really unsettling times. LG has a Patreon that you should check out and has super awesome rewards. They also draw Emmerich Volkaren of Dragon Age Veilguard really good, which is how I found them. So if you like Dragon Age, you should definitely give them a follow. Steel with Teeth, or Lily, is a merch and OC artist who draws a lot of horror and sapphic-based illustrations, who I've been following for probably over a decade, or just at a decade at this point. They have a shop where you can get these super soft and cute-looking Ghostface plushies, Dead by Daylight-inspired keychains. I've got one of the nurse, and they're overall a really cool person. I saw their work at a convention one year and immediately had to buy almost everything I could get my hands on. At the moment, they're being severely affected by the tariffs that Trump has imposed and could use the support in whatever way you can muster. Marvin, or Jazz Medic, is an artist that I worked with on a charity zine project recently. He creates wonderful fan art of the Baldur's Gate 3 characters, Arcane characters, and others. He's incredibly inclusive no matter what it is. He's got a bunch of lovely trans art, body positive art, and he has a Patreon where you can support all of his work as well. However, do only join if you are of age. His artwork is made for adults. Marvin also has commissions open if that's more of your thing. Abby, or Abiding Artist, is a genuinely nice and wonderful artist who is great to work with and makes a lot of cool Baldur's Gate 3 fan art. I got to do this commission for them of their Tav, Shiori, and Gortash. Thank you, Abby, for commissioning me. And they also have an Etsy store where you can buy a whole bunch of keychains. They love Will Ravengard, which is always a green flag in my opinion, and their art style is incredibly fun. You will not go wrong giving them a follow. Our last artist is Space Elf Art, who I've been following for a really long time as well. He does amazing character design work, and just look at this gorgeous illustration he did of Ronnie from Elden Ring. Absolute perfection. He's looking for freelance work at the moment and have a coffee where you can request anything from pet commissions to fully painted designs for your D&D characters. Recently, he had a scammer take his work and post it as their own on Instagram, which is a sadly common thing nowadays. Please go give him as much support as you possibly can. If you know of any other artists that could use the extra boost, let me know. I'll do whatever I can to make sure people have access to what they need. Thank you for getting this far into the video. I really appreciate it. My community is amazing, and just liking, commenting, or watching this draw with me makes it so I can keep the lights on. If you have an extra $1 to throw my way, you can join a super cool Discord where we have art live streams, patron-only art events, and talk about silly things like the Alien movies and what order they should be watched in. Please remember to love each other, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.